What are your names and how long have you been married for?
I'm Jordan Leishman.
Lisa Leishman. We were married a little over 12 years.
Sweet. What do you believe are the most important character traits to possess that help you create a successful marriage, and why?
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to?
Ladies first, of course.
Characteristics. I think one of the most important, well, there's two. Faith in God. I know that might sound not like a good characteristic, but it is. It's important. And, or maybe not a characteristic, but. And because faith in God gets you through anything, and humor. Having a sense of humor has gotten us through a lot. Even through our hard times, we've been able to laugh and find the joy. And I think that has been super important for our marriage to stay strong.
Like it?
What would you say?
I would say remembering that loving is a verb, not a feeling. So you love and you care about them and you do all of those things that you would want someone else to do for you.
That's awesome. Sweet. What did you not discuss before marriage that you wish you would have discussed, and why?
We got married a little later, so we actually discussed quite a bit.
We were pretty mature about what we talked about before we got married. So we can talk about, I think the important things to talk about are a few things. God and your religious views, how dedicated you want to be to God. I think is super important to talk about. Finances, how you want to handle that. We could have probably done a little bit better talking about that, but we haven't had issues with our finances or anything. We're usually on the same page.
Yeah.
But that'd be something that's really good and important. How many kids, and also whether or not you believe in a stay-at-home mom and what the mom and dad roles are and what your views are on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to establish that before you start having children and just, family things. What would you say?
Yeah. I just think the core values, if you have, what you value the most, you'll usually spend you will want to spend your time and money and other things in those core values. So if both of you have, the same or similar core values, not that everything's going to be the same because it's not, you're two different people, but if you can have similar core values, then those things will align more. So like for us, it's God and family and then a lot of the other stuff is auxiliary, but
I think the other thing too that I just thought of that we probably could have done better is boundaries, like what we wanted to establish as a family unit versus extended family, because once you get married, then your parents and your siblings become your extended family. And
where they were immediate family,
yeah.
So it becomes a little different.
And that's a little hard at first to kind of know where those boundaries are. And you kind of have to get into the marriage before you understand the boundaries that you do and don't want. But I think talking about those earlier on would have been easier, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
We didn't do a very good job at that. But now we do good. Now we're good.
Yeah, recognizing that you're going to have two totally different upbringings and cultures, and traditions, like family traditions and everything, and then you're going to come together. You're going to have to come together and say, okay, that's cool that you did that, and that's cool that I did this. Now what do we want to do together? What are our traditions? What are our family things? What are our priorities?
Yeah. And how much time do we want to spend with extended family versus doing our own? I mean, you love your parents and you love your siblings and you want to do those things, but also once your kids start to get older, it's like, well, we have our own family that we want to do things with as well, make memories with. It's kind of.
So how do we prioritize our now immediate family and then our becoming extended family?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Anyway.
Hey. What was...
Ellery, you might get more than you were
No,
looking
I
for
love
with
this. This is so important to me. This is good to know. Like, I want to know everyone's experience of that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's so important, I think. I haven't thought about a lot of those things, too. It got me thinking. What is it about marriage that has brought you the most joy and why?
There's a lot of joy in marriage, especially when you. I'm probably gonna cry a little, but he's my best friend, and I know that sounds cliche, and I know people say that, but he really truly is. He's seen me at my lowest of lows and my highest of highs, and he's been there through it all, and so that has brought me so much joy, is to have my best friend with me through everything that I've been through, and yeah. There's just a lot of joy in marriage. Like, there's heartache too, and there's hard times. It's not like we're perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not perfect. Yeah, we're not perfect, but the most joy I've had in my entire life has been with Jordan.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would actually agree. It's just having someone that you can, and if as long as you can establish this and establish it probably, up front and early on, but if you can have really high trust and high transparency and just accept each other for who you are, amazing, and the weaknesses, like, but if you just love each other for that, then there's some obviously powerful magic that happens with that.
Yeah. So awesome. So awesome. Okay, what is your strategy to maintain unity even when you are independent and busy people?
Weekly date night.
Yep, I was gonna say the same thing. Go date each other no matter what. It's hard as it is. There's times when he's working with Vivint and he's gone a lot. For weeks at a time, months at a he's gone for a full month sometimes. But no matter what, once a week we would, even over the phone, watch a episode
Watch
of
a little show together or something.
and laugh at the like we would.
We'd like try to time it. Now I think they have that built into some
Yeah.
of the streaming
Where you
services
can,
where you
but
like watch together or whatever.
Back when we were doing it,
We'd have to be like, all right,
1,
press
2,
play.
3.
Oh.
So we'd watch movies together, or we'd play Words with Friends.
Yeah.
Or we did something with each other that kept us unified, even when he was gone a lot, and has kept it going the whole time. And the reason why we kind of thought that up is with his work, we saw a lot of couples divorced because of the strain on the marriage and travel and not being together. And so early on, we were like, we have to come first.
Mm-hmm.
We have to put our marriage first. And so we've done weekly date nights, and it's looked different. Sometimes it's just put the kids to bed and we play games and talk, and that's our date night when we've had younger kids and couldn't get a babysitter or whatever. And now Isaac babysits, we go out,
It's awesome.
But
Built-in babysitting.
yes, but that I would say is a huge. And the other thing that we've done pretty regularly, we've missed a few nights here and there, but we pray every single night together.
Mm.
We've even prayed over the phone. As silly as that, strange as that sounds, but praying every night together has also unified our marriage. Even though if we've been apart, we'll always, if we have cell service and we can make it happen, we always pray at night.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome.
I was gonna say the same thing.
So those are the two things that
Pray every night and weekly date night.
Sweet.
That helps.
It's so simple.
It really is.
It's
It's
awesome.
just, I think a lot of the stuff is common knowledge. It's just
Mm-hmm.
you gotta execute it.
You gotta do
I have
it.
one more, sorry.
No, go for it.
The last thing I would say is focusing on all the good that each other does instead of focusing on the negative. So whatever you focus on is what you're going to see a lot of.
Yeah.
And I learned that the hard
I
way.
agree with that.
We had a miscarriage and I was struggling with a lot of things, and so I was just seeing all the negative. And I was really hard on him for a little bit. And I don't know what, God probably, Spirit, helped me to understand that I need to start focusing on all the good. And so we started this thing where we would once a week look back on the week and say thank you for all, like tell them all that you were grateful for that last week that they'd done for you. And we still do that, not as often, but just focusing on the positive, because like you don't want everybody to point out your failures or what your bad things are. Well, they don't want that either. So I want, if you focus on the good, that's all you see. Obviously there's still annoyances, like he annoys me, I annoy him sometimes.
Yeah.
Because we're human. But if you try to focus on all the good that they do, then that's what you're going to see more of. And you just have an attitude of gratitude. That has also, I think, helped bless our marriage as well.
Yeah, 100%.
So important.
Choose your love and then love your choice.
Yeah.
That's so good. I love this. How do you communicate about finances together to stay on the same page?
We've
Go ahead.
had different things that we've done throughout the years.
Yeah, we've done it a little different over the time.
But you wanna? I feel like I've talked a lot.
No, I think that we have just, and honestly, that one actually, we talked a little bit. Luckily, we were actually in a pretty good financial spot. Neither of us really had any debt going into our marriage, which was a huge blessing because I realized that that's actually not. There's a lot of people that don't come into a marriage in that way, so maybe we just got lucky with that. But I would really encourage that. But I would even, in fact, right now we use a thing that's called YNAB. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but you need a budget. And it's a software. It's like $100 a year or something, but it just tracks your finances. But it gives you a list of questions of, hey, these are questions that you should ask before you get married. And I would when we started that, I was like, I mean, we've already talked about enough of that now, but they also had questions that were like questions that you should ask while you're married, like how do we prioritize how we spend our money, and how are we gonna manage this money together? So I think going through some of those types of questions, which you can find good examples of, like on the internet or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Those would be, if I could give somebody, like if I could go back in time and give myself some advice, I think we did really good with being upfront. And we were upfront about our financial situation, each of us individually, and then we wanted to combine that, obviously. And each couple does it differently, but for us, we're one, so everything is ours. It's not like, I know some couples don't do that necessarily. It's like, this is your money and this is your money, and then we do like shared bills or whatever. I don't know what necessarily the right thing is, but that's what we were just like combined it and said, everything is ours. So how do we want to manage it?
And I think that's important too, because like a stay-at-home mom, sometimes I feel that I'm a financial burden to him, even though I'm not. I mean,
It's not.
I'm with the kids so that he can work, right? And I mean, we are sharing the load, but sometimes it feels that way sometimes because I was working before I got married. I got married at 26, so I was used to making my own income and having my own whatever. And so when we got married, and once we started having kids, when we had Henry, I started being a full-time stay-at-home mom, and that was a little bit hard, but because we kind of had established that that's what we were going to do beforehand, it was sometimes easier for me to swallow than other times. But I think that's important to talk about before. Like, how are we gonna help you feel that you were still financially helping with the family, right? And so I just think it's an important conversation to have. Roles and responsibilities, but also just how are we going to spend our money, and how are we going to save or invest or whatever.
Yeah. So awesome.
And we might give you a little bit more of I don't know what kind of class this is, but a little bit more of a religious perspective on this. But another perspective, Jesus taught that in a marriage you should be one, as he and his heavenly, as Father are one, right? They both have different roles, but they're one in purpose. And so that helped me understand, from a marriage standpoint, we have to be one and united and one in purpose, but we also have different roles. Like my role is to be, that's like my responsibility is to be a provider, right? So I got to be able to make money to provide for the physical and spiritual needs of the family. And so just because she's a stay-at-home mom, that doesn't mean that there's anything different there. That's just different roles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we have to be both on the same page and united with that and set goals.
Absolutely. That's awesome. How do you effectively address and resolve any conflict that arises in your marriage?
It's evolved.
We're not. Yeah, we're not.
We've evolved.
Yeah, I was gonna say, take all of this with a grain of salt.
Yes.
Ella,
I mean, when we
we're
first
not
got
perfect.
married, you know, I didn't know how to communicate very well. Because I don't know. I got yelled at a lot, so that's what I did. We yelled. I yelled. He mostly listened. He was patient. Bless his soul. But as we've progressed, I think we just know that when we are upset, we need to take a breather for a minute and just collect. You know, when you get angry, you kind of have to calm a little bit and have a discussion. And we talk about a lot of things. And we don't get mad at each other a whole lot anymore. I don't feel like we get angry as much.
No, I agree for sure.
Because we know each other.
We're not
more
one of those
and
couples
everything.
though. Fair warning, I can't remember who it was. Like President Hinckley or something that was like, we've never fought. I'm like,
Yeah, we fight.
that's not us. We've had disagreements and arguments. But
But I feel like the longer you're married, the less there is to fight about, as long as you're on the same page about things and you have those conversations, those hard conversations. And the boundaries thing that I talked about, like knowing boundaries for each other, for just a lot of things. Boundaries are important with any relationship. So I think having those conversations when there is a conflict that comes up, first cool off. I'm talking for myself. I have to cool off, and then be okay to open up and explain why you're feeling the way you are, and be okay to listen, which sometimes I'm not very good at because I'm angry and I want my point to be made. But just being patient with each other and talking it out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Trying to see the other's perspective, because that's important. You're never going to see eye to. Sometimes you're not going to see eye to eye, and that's okay. So then you need to then compromise. I don't like compromise as a word, but you both need to come to an agreement together of what you can and can't, like what is good and what is not good for both of you, and be on the same page. So that you come to the same page and make sure that whatever it is, you come to the same page, right?
Yeah.
Do you say?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a few things. One, you both have to be humble enough to like take a breath and realize that you're wrong sometimes and it's okay. Even though Lisa says she's never wrong. Just teasing. But or you maybe communicated in a bad way, or maybe you were, whatever, like you communicated in a rude way, or whatever it is, right? And you got to own your part of it. But and seek for genuine, like, I know this sounds funny, but just like repent, right? Like be humble enough to repent and ask for forgiveness and seek understanding. And then, have you ever read the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People?
I haven't.
Good one. It's a little bit of a boring read, but super effective. Like, really good book. But
I'll be
All the
honest.
good ones are, I guess.
but it talks about there are 7 habits, obviously, right, that it talks about, and some of those are how we interact with others. And so there's a few principles that I think are really valuable, which is seek first to understand, then to be understood. So if you stop and you listen and you verify understanding with them, so that means that you have to shut your mouth and open your ears, and you listen, and then you verify, okay, so this is how you're feeling, this is what you're communicating. Am I understanding you right? Do you feel understood? Do you feel like I'm understanding you? And then once they feel understood, then you can seek to be understood, right? Then that exchange can happen.
Yeah.
So seek first to understand, then to be understood, and then think win-win. So you got to figure out a way to make any scenario, any conflict, or any difference of opinion, how can we create a win-win out of this? Like, how could you potentially get what you're wanting out of this and have, right, or whatever, and how can I do that, or how can we come together and make it a win-win?
Yeah.
Because a win-lose sucks, and lose-lose obviously sucks, but those still exist, so you got to try to think win-win.
Awesome.
And then another little plug that has helped us, actually, this may not necessarily, but the book thing made me think of this. We've tried to read some sort of a marriage book most years.
Together?
Yeah, so if you think about like what you
I mean, not
value,
together, like he'll listen to it and I'll listen to it or whatever.
but then we talk about it.
Then we talk about it.
Gotcha.
So like you got to think, okay, what do I really value? And if you really value, right, like for example, for me, I've learned what I really value is my relationship with God. So I have to, in order to be able to have a relationship with God, I got to be able to connect with Him. And a lot of the times that's through the scriptures, right? And if I value my relationship with Lisa, then I have to invest time and learn and study how to be a better husband and spouse and father or whatever. If I don't ever seek to learn anything and improve in that area, then how can I expect to get better at it?
For sure.
So that's another helpful hint, I guess, I think has helped us.
Yeah. That's so great. I love that. According to research, the best predictor of marital satisfaction is how you believe household responsibilities should be fairly divided between the two of you. What does the process of communicating about distributing different household responsibilities look like for the two of you?
I feel like I just talked a lot. Yeah, sorry, you can go ahead.
I think that's changed over time, again, because when we first married, he was traveling all the time, so I took on the majority of all household, all yard, everything around. Like, it was just all on me, which he was out providing, he was doing his part, and then as our marriage is progressing, we don't do summer cells anymore. I do it while I'm home. When he comes home from work, he jumps in and helps out. So I make dinner every day, and when he comes home, he'll help do dishes, because he's like, you cooked, I'll do dishes. Or we both put kids to bed. I clean the house because he's working all day and I'm home, so and then outside we kind of help each other out with outside. But we I don't know if we really had discussions. I think we kind of have, but I think it's just, if there's a job to be done and you're there, do it. Like, don't just, I don't expect him, I don't leave anything for him to do. I don't know, like, if it needs to be done, I get it done.
Yeah.
And if he's home, he helps me get it done, or whatever. So I think
that has shifted over the years, just like you said. And some of the, like, we have had conversations of like, okay, I'll do these, this is what needs to be done. I'll do some of these, or I'll be the primary responsible one for that. But like, for example, I've usually been the one that does like the yard, or been in charge of that, whether I did it myself or I hired it when I was traveling.
Right.
One of those two happened, but then like, you used to do, the bills and everything else for a lot of years while I traveled so much, because that was just the deal. But then once I quit Vivint and I had more time, I actually have an accounting degree, so in some ways it actually makes more sense for me to do that, but I just didn't have the time to do that at that time. Yeah. So now I actually do the bills predominantly, or I did for the last couple of years, although that's
now we gotta switch it back.
We're kind of shifting back because I'm getting busier with the business. So it just has kind of depended on our ebb and flow. Like when I was less busy after I left Vivint and I didn't have as much work responsibility to make an income, then I tried to take a lot of that back from her to ease her burden so that we could equally yoke the load. But then
now it's kind of shifting back.
Now it's kind of
this way.
shifting back a little bit. So it's just kind of,
But yeah, just when a job
you
needs
just
to get
gotta
done, you
try to
just get it
communicate
done.
and work. Yeah.
And we plan. So we both went on missions, and so planning has become a big part of what we do. So we do a yearly planning session where we kind of plan out what we want to, like goals we want to do for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then every single week we plan our week out. So we know what's going on, like what he's got doing for work, what I'm doing at home.
Mm-hmm.
And we review our yearly goals and
What do
try to
you
make sure
use
that
for
we
that?
schedule those
A
in.
planner? Or?
Just our phone, like
Your phone?
notes.
Calendar, yeah. We
So
just make
we'll-
a note that, yeah, go ahead.
We have a note that has our goals on it for the year.
Mm.
And we do it in like spiritual, social, intellectual, and social, physical.
Yeah.
And then a couple other ones like financial,
Yeah.
whatever. And we make those goals at the beginning of the year, and then every week when we sit down to plan, which Sunday night is our planning night, and we go through our goals to see how we're doing with those, and then so like in our social goal, we have date night,
Date night. That's,
So
that's been like our couple social goal for,
our whole marriage.
Yeah.
So we'll go through and we'll write down as we go through our goals the things we need to plan into our calendar on our phones.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll plan those things first because those are most important. Spiritual, social, like our marriage. Plan those things first, and then we'll go through and plan everything and divide up like, okay, this kid needs to be here, this kid needs to be here, this kid needs to be here on this night. Who are you taking? Who am I taking? Like we'll just kind of, so every week we plan, and I think that has helped us also say, okay, my work, I'm really busy this week, or he'll say, I'm really busy this week, can you do this, this, this? Yep, got that.
Mm-hmm.
I need help, I can't be in 3 places at once, can you take this kid this place, and I can get these 2 because they overlap, and I can drive here, and then, you know.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of divvy that out as we plan every week. So that has also been a huge help for us, is to weekly plan. It's been so important. And then sometimes we'll even, the night, at the end of the night, we'll say, okay, what did we get done, what we didn't, what are we doing tomorrow? And we'll review, quickly review something, but
Mm-hmm.
our main planning night is once a week, so that we can have that and can help each other with the loads.
Yeah.
So.
That's so great. That's awesome.
another principle in the book 7 Habits is put first things first.
Mm.
So
What's most important goes in the planner,
You-
like in
yeah,
your calendar first.
that's why we make our goals. We pray and we ask for guidance to make good goals for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And as we make our goals, then that's what we try to prioritize,
And
right?
it-
And then we put
Let's see.
our first things, our most important things, in our calendar first,
Mm.
and then everything else fits in the other spaces.
Yeah. And it's been really cool as we look back on goals we've set from our first year of marriage to now. We've made timelines and everything of like what we kind of want to achieve by a certain age or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been pretty crazy, but God has blessed us so much. We have
It's been
hit a
humbling.
lot of our goals that we have set, financial, whatever, because we've planned it out and we've given it to God and we've done our job, right? You work hard. It's not like we're just sitting idly by saying, oh, this is our goal. Hope it happens, you know?
Yeah.
But it's been just really amazing to see what God helps you do when you're willing to set a goal and work hard, and
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, that's helped too.
It's also you can
Anyway.
see your success too.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
And it is good, I think, to measure back. Like what we actually both read a book this year. Always measure backward. I think that is actually important. Like to look back at your year
Mm-hmm.
and say, "Oh wow,
We did a lot.
we've been able to accomplish a lot of that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. It helps you to feel a lot more."
Focus on the success.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I love that. Does one of you have more power in decision making, or do you feel like you have equal power in decision making? Please explain.
I think we're equal.
I say I would say we're equal, but in certain areas.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to the roles. Like whoever knows best should be the ultimate decision maker.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lisa's really good at like making a meal plan, and she knows how to like cook and stuff. Like, I don't. So who should make the decisions on that? She should,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
When it comes to like more money or financial things,
With when we invest in
Yeah, like
things,
within like
he knows
investments or
way more
different things
than
like
I
that.
do,
Like
so he makes a lot of the more of the decisions.
now, do we still always communicate with that? Like absolutely,
Yes.
we're always on the same page. Like I don't ever make any big
Right.
financial decisions without talking to her until we're on the same page. But
Mhm.
but I guess it's just like, for example, she homeschools her kids, and she's done a ton of research about like, you know, child development, how kids learn, like that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
She should make more decisions on like our kids' education. She has a better knowledge with that.
Mm.
So
And the only other thing too, like when it comes to buying things, because if it's, what is our rule, under 100, we need to ask.
no, over
We
100,
talked to
right?
Yeah, if it's over $100, then we have to talk to each other before we buy something.
Mhm.
If it's under, then we kind of try to use discretion of, do we really need that, blah, 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 right?
Uh-huh.
But that's another thing too. So financial decisions, obviously I'm not going to ask him if I can go fill my car with gas. That's dumb. Like obviously I need to go fill my car with
Yeah.
gas. But like, because that's now $100. Just teasing, but
Shit, it's over 100.
I know. I know. So, but with things that we're going to need to buy, if it's over 100, we usually talk about it.
Mm.
And say, hey, I'm going to buy this for 100 because blah, blah, blah. This is my reasoning. And he'll usually say, oh, yeah, that's great. Or vice versa. And that's another thing, though, for decisions.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're pretty good. We usually talk about everything. Like even with homeschool, I'll say, hey, I think I'm going to do this. Do you think that sounds good? And he's like, well, if you looked at it, yeah. But I'm like, well, because sometimes I need to talk it out. But
Yeah.
So we don't really.
And I, like, in that scenario, I'm leaning on her knowledge there.
Mhm.
And sometimes I'll be like, I have done this actually in the last little bit too. I'm like, hey, I need you to, I stare at this all day. I need a set of fresh eyes on work stuff. And I'm like, well, you just look at these, like, units and applicants, even like for property management, and just tell me what your perspective is. I need, a different set of eyes.
We communicate
So we try to just,
quite often about most things. Because, like I said, we truly are each other's best friends. Like, we talk to each other about everything and make decisions together on it, like everything.
So it should be.
and the date night thing helps with that. The
Yeah.
reason why you enjoy spending time and having fun with someone and you like fall in love with them is because you're spending time with them and you're enjoying each other.
Yeah.
And you're having fun.
And so if you stop doing that when you're married, then you're not going to be very good friends. You're not going to be able to have that fun and enjoyment together.
Yeah.
You gotta
Absolutely.
still have that.
It's awesome. Last question.
Okay.
What wise advice do you have for those who are not yet married?
Be picky in the good places. So what I mean, like, physical attraction is important, but looks fade over time. Not Jordan's,
Not for you.
but looks. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, your body's gonna change because when, like, my body's changed from having 4 kids. So that's something that, is different. But the being picky and the important parts is, what are your top priorities? If you really value God and you value love and friendship and you want these things. So my 4 important list was someone who loved God, honored his priesthood, would take me to the temple and love the temple and want to go to church and be active in our faith, and someone who could laugh, who could have fun with, right? And Jordan hit all those. I wasn't that picky, but it's kind of surprising that it was harder to find someone with those 4 things than I thought. So I would just say, don't be picky. Don't rush into a marriage. Really, truly date them at least for a full year, so you see them through all the seasons. And someone you can really communicate with. Communication is huge. And so if you can't communicate with them and have fun with them while you're dating through the seasons, then like your marriage isn't going to be that great, I think, because it just gets harder when you first are married. When you first married, it's pretty hard. It's fun. And you have a lot of, like, there's been a lot of, like, we laugh at some things we did when we were first married. And it's super fun, but it's hard because you're trying to put two cultures together and two lives together. And thank goodness that we were pretty good friends. We were really good friends because of that we dated. But if we hadn't have had those same values and those things that we knew that were important to us, that we each other had, I think it would have been a lot harder for our marriage to progress and everything.
Zach's like chomping up a bit.
Okay. We're almost
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, so I think those things are important. Just knowing like what you prioritize. And I lost my train of thought, but what would you
No,
say?
it's fine. The question was wise advice for what?
Someone who's not married.
What is wise advice for those who are not yet married?
Be the person that you would want to marry. So if you want a husband that is, thoughtful and kind or whatever, then you need to be that. Work on, because you can't control other people, you can only control yourself, and that's even in marriage too. Like you gotta be the person that you want to marry. And I would say, focus on those core things. Like for me, I wanted someone who had a personal relationship with God and Jesus, and that chose happiness. I believe that happiness was a choice, or is a choice. And so those were kind of my things. And then, like she said, communicate through everything. Like, don't be scared to communicate through stuff and ask some of the hard questions. Like money, like even, hey, we're, intimacy, talk through some of those.
Communicating through intimacy is huge.
Communicate through that stuff. Talk through it. If you can't talk about it, then you're never going to be able to work through and be on the same page and stuff.
For sure.
Yeah. So that's all we'd say.
Hey, we thought this would just be easier for us to do a voice recording. So Spencer, read the first question.
All right, first one. What do you believe are the most important character traits to possess that help you create a successful marriage, and why?
I think a loving and caring person, someone that is, what's the one word? That one then?
Willing to compromise.
Open-minded and a good communicator. Do you have any?
I think that's it.
Perfect. What's the next one?
Number 2, what did you not discuss before marriage that you wish you would have discussed, and why?
The only thing that I can think of for this one would be our jobs kind of and what we want to do. That's the only thing that I can really think of. But I want to be a stay-at-home mom, since I want to do something in agriculture. But I wish we would have went a little more in depth of jobs and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else.
Okay, next.
Yeah, well, and in general, for people finances, I know that's a big thing that people say. After they got married, they realized, oh, we didn't talk about a financial plan. Me and Sage
Yeah, we
didn't super in-depth talk about it, but we've not had many issues with it.
Yeah.
So, number 3, what is it about marriage that has brought you the most joy, and why? My favorite part is having a reliable relationship and companion that I can always come to when I have problems or when I'm stressed, and that makes me happy.
And mine is just kind of the same thing, but having a built-in best friend, and just someone to come home to every single day and make memories with, and yeah.
Okay, number 4. What is your strategy to maintain unity even when you are independent and busy people? I think something that's really important with this is knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses so that when somebody's upset, when one of you is upset, the other person can respect their space and or comfort them, whatever their love language is, and also just communication, strong communication.
No, to maintain unity, baby?
Yeah.
I was thinking more like whenever we have a second, like we work all day, but right when we get home, we like to hang out with each other, have dinner together, like play a game, watch a movie, like whenever we have time, or we try to go on dates and stuff, even if they're just like small little things, and just like open communication. But yeah.
Number 5, how do you communicate about finances together to stay on the same page? We have made like monthly goals or like a monthly budget that we try and keep to, and then at the end of the month we kind of review it with each other and see if there's more ways to save money. That's the biggest thing, is just finding ways to save money.
Yeah, we have like monthly goals to make like a yearly goal amount that we try to save up, but then we also discuss like trips that we want to do or like bigger things that we want to save up for and how we can save up for those, as well as like just building our savings.
Number 6, how do you effectively address and resolve any conflict that arises in your marriage? I think going back to what I said on a couple questions back, knowing each other's love languages, and like for me, I like comfort, and for Sage, she needs a second to cool down. And so being able to do either, depending on who it is, and just always reminding each other how much we love each other.
Yeah, I think we talk about it. We just talk about the problem, and it's important to hear each other's thoughts and opinions on the matter and hear each other out and stuff. And yeah, but we usually figure it out.
Number 7, according to research, the best predictor of marital satisfaction is the degree of which you believe you have divided household responsibilities fairly between the two of you. What does that process of communicating about distributing different household responsibilities look like for the two of you?
I think I like just tidy up the house and stuff and try to keep it clean and like do the laundry and stuff. Spencer does like the dishes, and he also like maintenance our cars and stuff, and he does all the dirty work. I kind of just try to make our house like pretty and stuff, and he helps me. I don't know, like, what do you think?
I think there's some things that just come naturally, and then there's other things that, again, you just communicate. When something needs to get done, one of us needs to do it, or both of us need to do it.
Yeah, we're pretty good at setting up, but he knows I don't like dishes, so that's his chore.
Yep. Okay, number 8. Does one of you have more power in decision making, or do you feel you have equal power in decision making?
Oh, I didn't
Please
read
explain.
that one.
I think it depends on the decision. because I think we're pretty good at hearing each other out, but I think there are some decisions that maybe one of us has a little bit more weight in.
Or opinion.
Or an opinion on. Like a silly example would be how we decorate the house. I don't necessarily care as much about that as Sage does. So she has more power in that decision than I do. But I think it's pretty equal for the most part on ones that affect both of us.
Yeah.
Number 9, what wise advice do you have for those who are not yet married?
My advice should be that before you get married, to over communicate any major life things or something that you've gone through or anything like that, like how many kids you want, where you see yourself in 30 years, jobs, finances, all those big topics that if you don't talk about and you get married, it could end your marriage if you don't. Yeah.
I think talk about those things, but also realize you're never going to be ready for marriage, completely ready. So a lot of it is just faith and figuring it out as you go, because it's kind of just a by experience type of thing.
Also, one that me and Sensor both go by is lots of people get divorced these days, but we don't even think divorce is an option. And I think that's a good way to go through marriage. That's not even an option for us. We don't joke about it or talk about it or say anything about it. Whereas some people will do prenups and all that before they even get married. But yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's all. Hopefully that helps. Let us know if you have any questions or anything else. Bye.
Our names are K. Brent Keller and Ann W. Keller, and we have been married for 40 years. The first question, what do you believe are the most important character traits to possess that help create a successful marriage? I would say love and loyalty, complete dedication, eyes only for each other, and a sole focus on a same shared religious faith. That has been a key for us. Knowing that we are in this for not just this life, but forever. There's no prenup agreement, and we're in this forever, and be able to be happy and make a happy life. So that's made a big difference for us. Second question, what did you not discuss before marriage that you wish you had?
That's one thing that I think we discussed: finances. We discussed, children and working, all those kinds of things. But I think the one thing, even though we discussed finances, we didn't discuss how we were going to join our families' backgrounds of how they did their finances and how we wanted to do ours together as a family. So that's the one thing I think would be important, to sit down together and go over a budget and figure out how the two of you, now starting a new family, will do your budget.
The third, what is it about marriage that has brought you the most joy, and why?
I think we have both discussed that for us, that has been family. We have, when we both had our parents alive and we had our children, watching our parents with our children, and now as we are older and our children are married and we have grandchildren, just seeing and being with our family, that has brought us the most joy that we could have on this earth.
4, what is your strategy to maintain unity even when you're independent and busy people? That's an easy question. It's a hard answer because that's constantly changing. When you're young and you get married and it's only the two of you, you're busy and trying to set out for life and chart it. Then the children come and it gets really busy, and with jobs and promotions and extra worries, financial strain, you stay even busier, and your worlds and collide, and they oftentimes are revolving at different speeds and total different circles that way. And so you have to just maintain the time to really be together. Date nights each week are really critical, and it's so often your biggest responsibility. We have to keep reminding ourselves that our biggest responsibility is to be husband and wife, not mother and father. Right behind that is mother and father. So, but that's something that you're continually learning, even as grandparents now and empty nesters with careers still very busy and very engaged. As grandma and grandpa, we still have to re-envision that, and each time take time to step back and see how busy the worlds are with us in each, and be able to slow down a bit. So, good question. 5, how do you communicate about finances together to stay on the same page? You need to do that monthly and often, planning of trips or what's important for us, and retirement goals, and how we retire and when we retire and what type of standard of life we want to have. You have to talk about that, and as we plan that, you can never start too early. We certainly could have started much earlier discussing retirement, but having that goal and that focus is everything. So that's really critical. 6, how do you effectively address and resolve any conflict that arises in your marriage?
I think that for us, the only way you can address and resolve is to communicate. And sometimes that's hard when feelings are hurt, or there is definitely a disagreement or maybe resentment, that discussing, talking about it, staying cool, each having your piece to be able to say, and to feel that you can say what's in your heart and what's on your mind.
7, according to research, the best predictor of marital satisfaction is the degree to which you believe you have divided household responsibilities fairly. What is that process of communicating about distributing different household responsibilities look like for the two of you?
I think, as we're young and we start out, if both of us were working, that we had to, we worked a lot of things out, and it was more divided up equally. Maybe when you were still a student and I was working, it was easier for me to just be able to come home and do things around the home, where you had homework and a lot of tests and night classes, and stuff that you still needed to do. As we got the children, being members of the church, church callings come into it, and one or the other of us was at home or at work, or needed to run the kids to their dance classes or games or practices. And so we had to just kind of divide and conquer on those times. But now, as we're older and you're still working, obviously you have a lot of work, and you could work 24 hours a day, trying to keep up with everything that you have. And I myself have been a little bit retired, and want to concentrate more on keeping the family together and having family activities and having the grandchildren around. And so a lot of times I think it's important that I am able to, the things that I can do, to be able to do more at home while I am home, and when we're home together, we divide things up. But as for when I'll fix dinner, and oftentimes Dad helps to clean up. And so there's a lot of things that we just automatically do together, because that's part of spending time together.
When we were dating, I told Ann I didn't care if I had to work 2 or 3 jobs. I didn't want her to have to leave the house. if she ever wanted to. She did later when the kids were in school. Our youngest was able to just trail along with her in the truck. Ann was a general contractor and was building houses, and so Addie would run with her, and Ann was able to work outside the home, for a few hours each day, and that was very fulfilling, and it was rewarding for us as a family as well. But I still feel the same about it. I don't care how many hours I have to work for her to be able to stay. Our home runs better when she's there. I've worked like a dog for 40 years in helping to support our family, but I think Ann's worked harder in the home and whatever she's done, and I wouldn't want to trade. I think my lot's been easier. It's not easy at all, and I wouldn't want to go back and relive the 40 years, but I wouldn't ever want to trade with her. I think she's had a harder go of it. So being a wife and a mom, a grandma, is the hardest job of all, I think, yet the most important. The home and the family does much better, in my opinion, with wife and mom and grandma mostly at home as much as she can be. And that's been one of the keys to our family. So that's been a real blessing. I wouldn't say we've divided it equally. In many things, she does 130%, and I'm marginal.
And he
and other
brings
things
home a good paycheck.
on the other side, it's just the opposite. So it's not divided equally, but it's divided totally unequally. But it's equal when it gets to that. So 8. Does one of you have more power in decision making, or do you feel you have equal power in decision making? I don't think I've won an argument in 40 years. I think I think she wins all of them, and I'm just here happy to be doing whatever. No, I think it's important for both to feel like in some things one might have a more a bigger opinion on one item or another, but I think for the most part it's a good division of decision making, and not one person makes all the decisions in our marriage. We both try to make them together, although one oftentimes is more strong on one topic or one decision than another. But I think that's a good, happy way to do it. So she's the president of our company and I'm the vice president, but in our marriage, you both have to be either both presidents or both vice presidents, but she has the tie-breaking, and I think that's fine. Isn't that right?
Oh, I couldn't agree less.
Yeah. What wise advice, 9, what wise advice do you have for those who are not yet married?
Don't do it! I'm just kidding. It's one of the most important decisions you will ever make in your life, because it does. Who you marry can change your life forever, for better or for good, for worse. And so really think it out. Think about the future. Think about the things that you agree and disagree on. Think about the things that really need to agree on in order to be able to have. Nobody's marriage is perfect, and everyone goes through little rough bumps here and there of disagreement. But in the end, if you can be open, communicate, and not shut off, just trying to be better each day, that's the advice that I would have. Dad?
I would have you need to laugh a lot, and you're creating a marriage. You're not just finding one. We've grown both so much in 40 years. We'd never want to go back and start over, but we do look forward someday to be young again and being young together that way and not old. But that's the beauty of life and the future. The older we get, the closer we get to being young again. When this Easter time we think of the resurrection, well, that's definitely what a resurrecting marriage. I think that's pretty powerful. So anyone who believes in that has a lot to believe in, and we certainly do. That's made a big difference in our marriage. It's the biggest decision anyone makes. It's the most important. It's the biggest, most powerful. And if someone wants to truly be happy, just make a good decision and find someone you can love forever, and never let go and never give up, and just hold on to each other and to the Lord. So I think those are the best. And I think too, if someone was looking for a good wife, I think they could go. This would end the interview, but this is good advice. If someone were looking for a good wife, I would suggest that he go to Little Rock, Arkansas, and look for Ella Albertson, she would make a great little wife. We've known her since she was very little, and she would be an incredible wife. So congratulations, Ella. We're proud of you. Take care. If you have any questions, we don't have all the answers, but you give us a call, Ella. Big hug. Take care. Bye-bye.